yeah, this surrender. I guess maybe that's just the best word, surrender. So I this song came to my mind today to start us off. And then I thought, gosh, maybe we should just be repeating songs so that you kind of learn the songs if you want, but I know they're all recorded, so today we're not going to repeat a song. We're going to new song, but it's mostly in English, so it'll be really easy to pick up. And then yeah, shafi, yeah, coffee, so those will be easy. I was thinking about this song, I think, because you wrote the most beautiful bouquet of words. I mean, they're really stunning. There's a few lines in there that just when I read them, I was like, "Oh my God, these are so gorgeous." And there's a lot of words, right? And so, um, we want to really do justice to what came through you and the beauty of what you're feeling toward this new life. And it's like a benediction. You wrote a benediction from one viewpoint. It's a benediction, uh, and so I thought, let's do a song to help further this kind of surrender toward this beautiful baby that you've just given birth to in the form of words. It's very simple. It starts like this. Let me do thy will, Allah, Allah, Allah. Let me do thy will, Allah, Allah, Allah. And we're going to sing that for a little while and just kind of let the surrendering start to happen, let the energy build. And then we're going to just kind of punctuate it with this one. Ya Shafi, Ya Kafi, Ya Shafi, Ya Kafi. Of course, this is a dance, a Sufi dance. And when we're singing the first part, there's actually a group of people in the center who are doing the zikr phrase. And so when I'm not dancing this and I'm just singing it, for this first part where we're singing in English, let me do thy will, Allah, I just think of doing like a zikr practice, or I imagine myself in this sort of um, moving to the earth, some kind of movement of moving to the earth of surrender. And then in the Ya Shafi, Ya Kafi, I think of this opening, really open me to, the Shafiya, the Kafiya, the perfect remedy, the perfect healer for this moment, what needs to happen. So, however you want to, whether it's an internal stance or if you actually allow yourself to let your body just do whatever movements it wants to, we're going to do this just for a little while. Let me do thy will, Allah, Allah, Allah. Let me do thy will, Allah, Allah, Allah. Let me do thy will, Allah, Allah, Allah. Let me do thy will, will, Allah, Allah, Allah. Let me do thy will, Allah, Allah, Allah. Ya Shafi, Ya Kafi, Ya Shafi, Ya Kafi, Ya Shafi, Ya Kafi. Let me do thy will, Allah, Allah, Allah. Let me do thy will, Allah, Allah, Allah. Me do thy will, Allah, Allah, Allah. Let me do thy will, Allah, Allah, Allah. Ya Shafi, Ya Kafi, Ya Shafi, Ya Kafi, Ya Shafi, Ya Kafi. Let me do thy will, Allah, Allah, Allah. 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 Let me do thy will, Allah, So let's just kind of stay in this space a little bit and let our breath elongate or deepen. Just feeling the whole swing of the breath and that little pause at the beginning and the end of the breath. And when we are breathing in, let's breathe in Abundabashmaya, filling ourselves with the divine presence, the silent potency, the shimmering sound. Abundabashmaya. And then on the out breath, let's breathe Nitkadashmach. Help us let go, help us surrender, help us clear space and tune our hearts for your name, your sound, your song. And let's take a few more breaths in this way. Letting the mantra get more and more subtle until we're just breathing with the atmosphere or the essence of the sounds. So we're really breathing with the feeling of Abunda Bashmaya and the atmosphere of Nikadasham. So that we can more subtly tune ourselves and really pay attention to the quieter things that are happening as we make this prayer, as we align our breath. And then we just let go of the practice altogether. And just take a moment to notice the effect of the practice. Just kind of scanning through the body, through the breath, through the heart and the mind. And then in gratitude, we take a nice deep breath in. Amen. Amen, amen, amen. So, we may have this beautiful desire to speak the whole prayer, and if that is our desire, I hope that we accomplish that. But it's a good thing to remember that each line of the prayer is a prayer in and of itself, and that it's enough to pray just the first line or the first word or the first two lines, and aligning them with the breath is a simple but I think powerful way to go really deep into the meaning. So just a reminder of this practice. So I thought before we move on, maybe we'll just do a check-in. And last time we had this theme of creating balance through strength, simplification, and surrender, and this idea of rhythm. So, but if there's something else that you want to check in about, that's fine too. Or if you don't want to check in, you don't have to.
I'm trying to think, because the last 2 weeks have been something out of a horror movie. But I think I was being tested a lot with my patience and tolerance, and a lot of how do I say it? I don't want to say anger, boundaries. Boundaries would be the correct word. I felt like there was a lot of, like, the theme of the whole month so far, specifically in the last couple of, like, 2 weeks or so, was the invasion of space, or, like, I guess, yeah, like, it just a lot of invasiveness happening, be it mental, spiritual, or physical. And I don't know why the pull was towards that, and I thought it's to teach more surrendering, but it felt more like, no, you need to reinforce more boundaries. It's not that just the surrendering comes once you actually respect your own boundaries. And I think there's a lot for me to learn there, because I find it extremely difficult. If someone crosses my boundary, I'm more forgiving than when someone crosses somebody else's boundaries in front of me. Like, to me, I become this monster in a way. Like, at some point, I think I made my own mother cry because of how much aggression came out, because she did not respect my sister's boundaries during that time, and I lost it. And it's scary to see that. And then my beautiful, beautiful uh girlfriend decided, because that's what she does, to say, oh, it's funny how you can do that for everyone else around you, but never ever with yourself. Like if that were you would probably say it's not a big deal
Hmm.
or let it go. And then, but because it happened with your sister, you let it out. And she's like, it's interesting to know that you have it in you, but you choose not to protect yourself with it. Um, so I think I need to really work with what I should define as a boundary for me, like what I let in, what I don't. And that kind of flows into my spiritual practice as well, and what I am able to digest and what I'm kind of force feeding myself thinking I can digest. Um, like you said, like spiritual birth should take its time, and I feel like sometimes I take on way too much and I think I can handle it, like spiritually speaking as well, and then I'm like sick for days. And if it makes you sick, it should not be, like, it's not a good sign. So I think lately with everything that's been happening, and I did re-listen to a lot of our previous lessons, and I'm like, okay, you've been hammering in the idea of you need to surrender more and bend more, but maybe it's also a question of armoring up a bit when needed. Um, it doesn't need to be one way or the other. It could be um the two, like depending on the, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, you brought up a kind of a beautiful, balance. Balance was kind of the theme. And that if you're going to surrender more, then there's also got to be the taking care of the container of this. If you're creating space, then that space needs a container. Like you think of a bowl, space isn't really that helpful unless there's the actual ceramic form or the wooden form or whatever it is. You can't, I think a lot of us have this kind of weird modern idea that I'm just going to get rid of the bowl and I'll just have space. I'll be so surrendered. I'll just be, the bowl has a purpose. That's the Nit and so it has to do with self respect. It has to do with respecting God. And it's realistic. I mean, you can't have formlessness until you have form. There's got to be the form. And, I think that's the thing about motherhood is it does feel like an invasion. And I think it has to feel a bit that way because it has to inspire this growth. In our Mary class, when I was talking about the horses, the embryos of the horses, and they bounce off of they echo off of the placenta. That's what allows the placenta to grow, is this invasion of these little beings on the side of the placental wall. Then the wall grows, and mothers have to become strong. They have to become resilient. They're warriors. I see in you this absolute warrior energy, and it's so beautiful. And I think the difficulty with a lot of women who are born warriors is they don't do that for themselves first. It's like in the Mary prayer, she first gives birth to herself. So we're giving birth to ourselves, and part of what we're doing is we have to respect who we are as we're giving birth to ourselves, and have some fierceness and some boundaries around, because we're going to be opening more and more and more. And so it makes a lot of sense to me that you're feeling all of these things. And so the balance comes with building boundaries, opening and building boundaries. So it's like growing capacity, using that capacity to open more, and then we've got to build more. Got to build more boundary, more strength, more self respect, more self compassion, because then we can offer that to somebody else. So I realize you've been called on this big journey the last few weeks, and um, it's a whole other kind of practice. It's not separate from your regular life and your regular practice, but it's a heightened arena that you've been in. So you're still in it, you know, and will be in it for some time. There's this. I mean, you know this. I'm not telling you something you don't know. There's this period of time right after birth where the doors are open. You know, it's a heightened sense of time. Birth and death. It's always a exciting time, but for me, it's always terror. It's full of some kind of terror for me because I'm like, the doors are open. People can die just as easily as the soul. Not easily, just as this soul was born. Those doors are open. They can just close, or someone can go through the door going the other direction. Is what it feels like to me during these periods of time. So it's almost like a special time, like a holiday where we shift our practices. Like I think about sometimes in the Jewish tradition when they get to Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year, there's different practices for that time. Or at Christmas time for Christians, if you're a real Christian following the liturgy changes at Christmas. And the woman's responsibility changes at Christmas because there's different feasts that need to be attended to. So you're in one of these cycles right now. Um, so, that being said, should we move our focus over to your beautiful benediction?
We can. I mean, it took me a minute to write it, and I never reread anything I wrote, so I literally just copy pasted it to you once I thought it was complete enough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I told my sister because she asked me for prayers, but I told her I will attempt to write one myself as a gift for him,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if it sounds like a prayer or if it's so. I didn't my girlfriend didn't read it yet, but she said it would be interesting to see if it can be also turned into like a lullaby or a song, which is something I can attempt to work on. Uh, but I figured who best can tell me if it's any good than you, because yeah. So I thought I'll just share it and then take it from there.
Great. So do you want to spend some time focusing on it right now? I have some ideas. I have some things I think we could begin with right now. Or we can do something else. It's your time, so you can
No, I
direct me.
think it would be good. Because again, it's something that I want to learn to
Mm-hmm.
practice to do for myself, like um my own variation of prayers too.
Yeah.
That could be inspired from real prayers or not. It's just I feel like my brain has uh, a lot of doors open, and sometimes I need to automatic write because I can't keep it in my head, and then I can't read my writing, but it's still in my head, and I feel like maybe some of it I can turn into my own little prayer ritual or language, even with my God, my version of God, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought this is a simpler way to start for like a newborn. There's
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah. Um, so the first thing I want to say is I definitely encourage you to write. You are clearly a writer, and spirit moves through you in writing, whether you use everything you write or not. Um, from my point of view, it would be a very fruitful way for you to nurture that connection. So that's the first thing is yes, 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 right. Have that be part of your, if you want to call it practice or whatever. Um, like I said, your writing is really beautiful. The way that some of these images are just, so gorgeous. And on one hand, I would say there's nothing that needs to be changed or altered in this writing, um, because it is just so beautiful. And I like the flow of it. It really has some of these elements of an ancient benediction or an ancient blessing of this beginning part of May. May is very opening, and it's a very, you know, uh, sky view of a blessing. Big things, really big things. And then you come in very intimately, may, bless your eyes, bless your ears, bless your nose. It reminds me of when I was doing a lot of pagan stuff. We always did a version of this where we started big and then we came in and, you know, bless your eyes, may you always see her everywhere your glance falls. May your ears find her song in all of nature. May your mouth, like this. And so that's the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing I wanted to say is this is such a beautiful reflection of your being as well, because as you have said even today, you love biting off a huge amount, you know? You love that. And that's a part of you that is so wise and beautiful. And I also see the part of you that gets overwhelmed, a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit bogged down. And so some of the things I want to suggest kind of come in the form of let's make this small before we make it big, right? So I have some ideas about how we might do that, and I'm trying to decide whether I should share those ideas first, or what I would really love is to have you read to me the blessing out loud so that I can hear. One of the first things that I do when I write something and I want, if I'm not doing it as a channeled thing, right as I'm doing it, like the music and the words coming at the same time, I take some time finding the cadence, finding the rhythm, because then it's really it's easier to put the music to it once you find that cadence. So I want to hear you read it so that I can begin to hear the cadence that naturally arises when you're reading it. So I think what we'll do is we'll talk about a few things first, and then I'll have you jump in and read it. Not a lot of things because I don't want to throw out too much here, but the first thing is, as a way to begin, what you could do is you could find what I call the home note, which is literally a note. So it could be La may you forever. So that would be like the note that you're going to start on, and you turn it into a drone using your keyboard or using some instrument. You create a drone based on a note. So I learned that the note that a certain type of bumblebee uses to court a certain nightshade plant to open is the note of D. So you may find a note that really feels like it holds within it the feeling of your prayer. And then you make a drone and you literally start reading your blessing over the top of the drone. And sometimes just from this practice, you begin to feel the prayer open itself and the melody begin to come. While you're doing that, you can also begin to find whatever meter or whatever rhythm is happening, so that maybe you start to notice, oh, there's actually an 8 count here or a 6 count. And I can actually, with very little tweaking, make everything fit into that 6 count or that whatever. That way, just melodically, it makes it easier. I'm not saying that you have to do that, But when you get everything to fit into a form, then your whole being just sort of relaxes and you can rely on that form and it'll help you memorize whatever you've written. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so like an example, once I put this, the when someone asks Jesus, what are the most important commandments? And he says, love your neighbor as yourself, blah, 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 whatever he says there. Um, Dehetraham Lemaharya. So I set this up. Allah. Then I had to figure out how to make the next one rhyme. Wamen kule. I had to put two of the verses into one to make it fit, but it all ended up fitting in. So you find bum bum or bum bum, whatever that feeling is. Is it a waltz? Is it a is it very square and metered? How is that? Another thing you can do is you can actually just start by being at a very low pitch. May you forever. Da, 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 da. Next one. May da 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 da. So that the whole first part moves upward in a movement or moves downward in a movement, which could convey something unique. Okay, so I'm just going to stop there. Well, then I'm going to say one more thing. You may choose one thing, which I would suggest is you choose something like the very first thing you wrote. May you forever remember who you are and where you come from, because this is probably your most important line, and you put it right in the beginning. And in a lot of ways, it encapsulates every single thing else that you have in your writing here, in your blessing, in your prayer. Maybe you make that your melodic center and you come up with a melody just for that one. And maybe for now you speak the rest of them. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically 6 in this first part, which are the may you parts. And after each one, you sing this first line. So it's much easier to think of creating a melody for one section, and it may work out that you can actually fit everything else melodically into that melody, whatever you figure out. Then you move down to the blessed are you, and then that's where you incorporate your drone, and then you speak the rest of these. So, I mean, you can give yourself free rein to do whatever you want, but it is helpful to pick something to start.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, this line here, may you be a beacon of peace by simply being the lines on your hands and feet tracing the path homeward. That just like blew me away. I just thought that was so evocative. I mean, it's so incredibly evocative. And the same, may your lion's heart drum in rhythm with the eternal song of creation. It's so beautiful. Um, so let's start by having you, would you be willing to read this? And let's focus on the
Um,
first part first. So let's have you read the May You section, starting with May You Forever Remember Who You Are. And what I would love for you to do is read it with a kind of slower cadence, not like breathe through it.
he's trying to
Um,
slap me.
huh?
Like my cat is trying to slap me for
Oh,
food. So I'm just gonna, yeah. May you forever remember who you are and where you come from. May you be guarded from life's shimmering illusions, those that seek to erase the memory of your becoming. May you find peace in standing firmly in your truth, with face shining brighter than the sun. stretching far and wide. May you be a beacon of peace by simply being, the lines of your hands and feet tracing the path homeward. May your lines heart drum in rhythm with the eternal song of creation, and with your voice, may you howl among the wild beings, both seen and unseen, through every realm.
Mm. Can I have you do it again? I was noticing by the time you got to like the last two, your voice was really, you were starting to find more of your
Yeah.
voice in there. And let's have you do it this way. Let's have you read the first May You, and then take a breath in and out through your heart, and then read the next one and kind of follow that rhythm.
May you, do you like to stop after may you or after the first line
No,
taken?
sorry, after the whole line. So may you
Okay.
forever remember who you are and where you come from. Breath. And then jump into the next one.
May you forever remember who you are and where you come from. May you be guarded from life's shimmering illusions, those that seek to erase the memory of your becoming. May you find peace in standing firmly in your truth, with faith shining brighter than the sun, stretching far and wide. May you be a beacon of peace by simply being, the lines of your hands and feet tracing the path homeward. May your lines heart drum in rhythm with the eternal song of creation. May your voice, and with your voice, may you howl among the wild beings, both seen and unseen, through every realm.
Mm. Okay, now, if you'll humor me, what I would like you to do is before you read the first one, I would love for you to take a few breaths and feel your whole body. Feel your feet, your bones, as if you're going to be speaking this line to the part of you that does not feel this yet 100%. And we're just going to work with this first line to begin with. So, take a moment or two and just notice, do you feel the part of you that just wants to get to the end, wants to finish the recitation? Be aware of that. She can be there. She's an important part of this process because she's the one that she has lots of speed and she has lots of know-how, and she's the one who's very protective, and she has, saved your life in a few instances. We want her there, but she's not the one that I want to hear the recitation from right now. I want to hear it coming from the inside of the marrow of your bones. Feel your ancestral fire inside of the marrow, who knows the truth of this, who's the one who wrote this line for you. And just breathe into that for a moment. And with whatever tenderness, whatever wisdom, whatever you can muster, let's have you say this line again to your own being, to that part of you who doesn't yet know it 100%.
May you forever remember who you are and where you come from.
How did that feel?
Lighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the things I'm pointing us toward is that for me, when I'm feeling called to write to create a song, the only way I have success with it is if I feel it 100%. I really feel how it's affecting me. I feel the truth of it resonating. There's got to be a resonance inside of me that is the motivating energy for me to write, right? So maybe this line here, like I said, becomes your home note. I'm going to read it back to you this time, really only for the purpose so that you get a reflection, an echo, so you can feel it coming from somewhere else. I'm not trying to show you how to do it. I'm not trying to do it a better way. I'm not, nothing like that. I'm just offering it to you. I may do it several different ways in the process of it. So let's go back to that place of feeling the marrow in our bones. May you remember forever. May you forever remember who you are and where you come from. May you forever remember who you are and where you come from. May you forever remember who you are and where you come from. May you forever remember who you are and where you come from. May you forever remember who you are and where you come from. May you forever remember who you are and where you come from. So you can see there is this element of playfulness, of really trying to feel into possible rhythms, possible emphasis. And then from there, it's just the next step into creating a melody. Da 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 da. You know, I'm not saying this is what it should be. I'm just like playing around. May you forever. Bum 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 bum. And then maybe you echo it. Bum bum bum. May you forever what? Remember? Just one possibility. And then you have the next part. Bum 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 bum. You know, you just start to kind of feel it in there. So what happened for you when I was playing around like that and when you were hearing the reflection of those words coming back to you?
It felt more real than when I was repeating it, because in my mind I'm reading it. I don't think I really sunk into the feeling behind it yet, but it felt more genuine and softer
Mm-hmm.
than just a harsh may you remember. It's like I don't want to remember whatever you ask me to remember if you're gonna say it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, at first I was reading it and then I memorized it and I was just saying it from memory. Um, I also kind of messed it up at the beginning, but then I just turned it into a thing like, may you remember instead of may you forever. May you remember. May you forever remember. So I made like a little, you know, you could do something like that. What I would love for you to do, if you feel like it, is, like I said, just work with this first one for a little while to the point where you don't have to think about it. It's just in there. May you forever remember who you are and where you come from. And let that roll around in you. It may change form, it may not. You may decide, you know what, I don't know if I like this may you beginning. Maybe I want to say something else in this beginning part because it feels however it feels, and that's not what I'm going for. So, as a creator, we have to always, well, we don't have to do anything, but sometimes it's really helpful to remember that sometimes you just need a scaffolding to begin. And then maybe the scaffolding needs to be torn down so that the true thing will rise up. Maybe this is it. You don't know. But maybe it's something else. Maybe you need this for the next thing to come up to say something deeper or something that you couldn't hear right away. Maybe it's exactly what it needs to be, but you're going to like move a couple things around in order. So the message I want to give you for the next bit of time is play. Play, 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 play. Have fun. If it's not fun, stop doing it for a little while. Come back to it because you're probably getting too serious. You're probably
Yeah,
the part of you that wants to get to the end and have it be what it is taken over.
yeah, always.
Yeah,
It's annoying.
always, always. So, how does that sound? How does it feel? Not how does it sound? Has there been something helpful in what we've just done here?
Yeah, a lot of it, a lot of the ideas, and I just like it. Whenever it's something that I need to play with, I kind of like take a step back and be like, has
Yeah.
to be like, I don't know what part of me thinks that everything needs to be super intense and super like serious and like
Mm-hmm.
it's not perfect, it's not anything. And um even my music teacher is constantly saying play. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
learning by play. We're not like forget theory, you learn it by playing. And I'm like, but I need to I don't think I ever took time to play. And I yeah, I should learn how to play. Like not to take everything so seriously. It's annoying.
Yeah. I mean, even I don't know if you should, but boy, wouldn't it be fun? It
Yeah.
should be fun to play. I mean, here's another thing you could do. Like this first line. Let's start at the one of my teacher Martini always shakes everything up. So when I write something and he'll say, start from the back, start from the last thing you wrote and move the other direction. So you could say, Gabriel, where, make it into a question. Where have you come from? Where have you come from? I long to know who you are. Make it into a love poem just for the heck of it, just to see what happens. Gabriel, you know, where have you come from? I long to know who you are. I long to smell that sweet remembrance that you've ushered through the door in your becoming. Please don't forget. May you forever remember. You know, something like that. In your own words, play. Go into the middle of this. The middle sentence says, or the middle bit says, who you are. Remember who you are. So you start there, and then you can move backwards or forwards. And then you can play with it. You can say, oh, what if we change that word remember to forget? Or what if we change the word forever to in this moment? And then see what arises. Or maybe you say, I'm not going to talk about where you come from. I'm going to say where you're going. Do the opposite. And sometimes after you do the opposite, then the third thing pops through of what you really want to say, which is the middle part. Martino says start in the middle, but sometimes you have to get to the middle. So play, 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 create a drone. Sometimes, to speak it into space is just too dead. I don't, that feels too low to me, so I'm going to go up here. May you forever remember. You create a drone somehow with your instrumentation. Maybe even a chord drone, a harmonic chord drone. Maybe you want something that feels angelic. And then start your recitation against that drone. So you won't have me there, you'll have the drone there, and start playing against it. So that would, play with the writing of it, play with the recitation of it, find the home note. Those are all things you can kind of do to, and then we can go from there. And maybe one little thing will pop through, and then from that place, we'll move forward. Remember that this is a birthing, a creative birthing. Be gentle with yourself. Start small, but do a little bit every day, even if it's just the recitation of that first line. Ask Gabriel, the archangel, for support. Allow yourself to really feel in your bones the beauty and the spirit of guidance that accompanies this blessing, this impulse of your heart to want to bless. This is the most natural part of your humanity and the oldest part of your humanity. Align with this part. Welcome in, maybe before you begin. Gabriel, I welcome you. Please help me to hear your whispers. Guide my hands, guide my mouth, guide my heart to hear the note from which sprouts this prayer, this blessing. Help me find the note that opens my heart to the form that this blessing wants to take. The note that connects me to my nephew. The note that opens his heart so that the pollen can be revealed, something like that. Every act of creation can be a holographic opportunity, you know. Breathe, connect in with your body or with the marrow, ask for support, feel your support. Bismillah, it can all go in. Every act of creation can become the template for your prayer of what your spiritual journey is opening toward. Does that feel overwhelming? Does it feel like a first bite that you can bite into?
It's not overwhelming. I just it's not overwhelming. I know that I need to feel into, like, when I write, I don't think. So that's, to me, it's the best part, because I really, my brain just stops. It's the reading it or rereading it, basically, because I never, like I said, I never reread anything I write. I let it sit, and then so when I reread it, it feels like it's an external person that's working with it, because when I wrote it, I wasn't really mentally fully there. So when I read it, I'm like, it sounds different from my usual, like when I talk, it's not the same as I write. So there's a disconnect there. So I think I need to find a playful way to connect with it. And maybe, like you said, I don't need to bite the whole piece. I can just start with, like, even the word May, like, just
Mm-hmm.
May as the month, May as
Mm-hmm.
like water in Arabic, Maya, like, it just play around with word by word and see what kind of energy it brings, and work with the energy rather than just the word.
Yeah. I mean, that's where etymologies can come in, and, they can either put us in our brain, which is not good, or they can
Mm.
open up our heart. But, what you're just saying right here is I love communion. I love doing the writing. I love letting that happen. Of course, that's like making love. And then we actually have to give birth, and then we have to take care of the baby. So right now we're in the place of birthing and taking care of the baby. So finding your voice. This is about finding your voice on a basic level. And then do you have the courage and the fortitude to follow through and actually raise this child of this prayer, you know? So, in order to do that, you don't have to, we engage in the ritual, which is the everyday doing, every day, every day, every day, every day, or every other day, or whatever, or twice a day, or whatever the rhythm is. And that's where we have to do what I call our dirt time. You got to sit and speak it 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 until you find your voice. You know how many times I told those stories before I found my voice? Sometimes I can't even watch those first ones because it's just everybody else was loving them, but I'm like, I haven't found my voice yet. I can just see it, I can hear it.
Mm.
But I had to do that. I had to go through those uncomfortable, clunky stages. I'm still finding my voice, obviously. And it's still uncomfortable for me to watch those videos. It's like, oof, I see what I see. But we have to have faith. We have to have trust that it's a process and there's beauty in that process. And at every step of the way, if we have the goal to be beautiful, to serve the message, and to give birth to what we're inspired to give birth to, we just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So yeah, this is about finding your voice and having the stamina to give birth to whatever this being is of this prayer. So, alhamdulillah. Which reminds me, during the class, you had written something in the chat about Subhana, or
Yeah.
could you send that to me? Because that doesn't come through in the recording, and I didn't really write it down because I was busy. That would be really fabulous. I'm gonna end the recording.